My beloved child. There is a quiet kind of joy that never announces itself with noise. It arrives so gently that most people mistake it for an ordinary moment, yet it changes everything beneath the surface. Today, that unseen joy has found someone whose heart has been carrying your name with remarkable patience. They may not fully understand why they suddenly feel lighter, why hope has begun replacing uncertainty, or why the future no longer seems so distant. But I know the reason, and before this moment slips away, I want you to see what has been unfolding where human eyes cannot easily reach. Don't skip, because what you are about to discover has been growing for longer than you realize. Long before today, tiny choices you believed were too small to matter began creating quiet ripples. Every time you chose kindness instead of resentment, every time you decided to keep moving instead of giving up, every time you protected the goodness within your heart when no one applauded you for it, another unseen thread was woven into a story still waiting to reveal itself. You thought those moments disappeared into silence, yet they never vanished. They continued traveling forward, carrying pieces of your character until they reached someone whose soul had been longing for exactly that kind of light. Something extraordinary happened without dramatic signs or loud celebrations. Your soulmate felt a burden become unexpectedly lighter. It was not because life suddenly became perfect. It was because, somewhere deep within, they sensed that the person they had been hoping for was becoming more fully themselves. That quiet realization brought a happiness they could not explain with words. Sometimes the greatest changes begin long before anyone notices them. Sometimes hearts recognize what minds have not yet understood. Imagine standing beside a calm lake just before sunrise. The surface seems perfectly still, yet beneath it, gentle currents are already moving toward the shore. That is how this connection has been growing. Invisible. Patient. Unhurried. While the world measured progress by visible milestones, something much deeper continued finding its way forward. Your soulmate may have smiled today for reasons they could not describe, but hidden within that smile was the peaceful echo of everything you have been becoming. Stay till the end, because this is not simply about another person. It is also about the version of you that quietly emerged through moments no one else witnessed. Every disappointment that taught compassion instead of bitterness, every unanswered question that strengthened your patience instead of stealing your hope, every ordinary day you continued walking forward even without certainty, those moments became part of the reason another heart now feels unexpectedly alive with happiness. There are seasons when people believe nothing meaningful is happening simply because nothing dramatic appears on the surface. Yet the strongest roots always grow in silence. While you wondered whether your efforts mattered, unseen foundations were being prepared. While you questioned your direction, your character was becoming a place where trust could eventually rest. That unseen growth has become a gift, not only for you, but also for the one whose heart has quietly been moving closer to yours. Something important is waiting for you. Not in the form of sudden answers, but through a realization that becomes clearer with every passing moment. Your soulmate's happiness did not appear from chance. It blossomed because the person you are becoming feels safe, genuine, and deeply comforting in ways that cannot be imitated. They may not know your entire story, yet somehow their heart has already begun responding to its quiet truth. And still, what happened today is only the beginning of a much larger picture. There is one detail your soulmate has not yet spoken aloud, a realization that surprised even them the moment it appeared. When that hidden thought finally rises to the surface, everything you have heard so far will take on an entirely new meaning. There are moments when happiness becomes so quiet that it almost hides itself. Your soulmate experienced one of those moments not long after the feeling first appeared. It wasn't the kind of joy that demanded attention. It settled gently into their heart, like the first warm light entering a room after a long night. They paused without realizing why, smiled without planning to, and carried a sense of peace they could not explain. What they didn't know was that this feeling was connected to something much deeper than a single day. It was connected to the quiet transformation that has been taking place within you all along. An unexpected realization began unfolding inside them. They found themselves thinking differently about the future. Small things that once felt uncertain no longer seemed impossible. They caught themselves imagining conversations that had never happened, moments that had never been lived, and a connection that somehow felt familiar even before it fully arrived. They didn't force these thoughts. They simply appeared, one after another, as though their heart had recognized something before their mind had the chance to question it. Don't skip. Because this next part is where the hidden beauty begins to reveal itself. Every sincere decision you made to grow instead of giving up became a quiet answer to a question your soulmate had been carrying for longer than either of you realized. They had wondered if genuine kindness still existed. They had wondered if someone could truly value honesty, patience, and understanding without expecting anything in return. Without ever speaking to them, you began answering those questions through the person you were becoming. It is remarkable how hearts can sense authenticity from a distance. Not through words. Not through appearances. But through a quiet confidence that cannot be manufactured. Your soulmate has started feeling that confidence drawing them forward. They cannot fully explain why certain memories suddenly feel meaningful or why hope now feels easier to hold. They only know that something within them has changed, and that change has brought a happiness they never expected to experience so naturally. There is another detail they have shared with no one. During a quiet moment, they found themselves grateful for someone they have not completely met in the way they imagine. That feeling surprised them. It arrived without warning, carrying a gentle certainty that somewhere, someone was also learning, growing, and preparing for something beautiful. They didn't know whose face belonged to that feeling. But their heart held onto it as though it had known it forever. Stay till the end, because this journey is revealing more than a relationship. It is revealing how two separate paths can slowly begin reflecting one another before they ever fully cross. What makes this moment extraordinary isn't excitement alone. It is peace. The kind of peace that remains after the questions become quieter. Your soulmate is beginning to trust that the right things do not always arrive quickly, they arrive at the right time. And as that trust grows stronger, so does the quiet happiness filling their heart. Yet there is still one piece they have not discovered. A single realization is waiting just beyond this moment, and when it finally reaches them, they will understand why today's happiness felt so different from anything they had experienced before. That unexpected discovery is closer than either of you can imagine. A single thought has a remarkable way of changing the direction of an entire heart. Your soulmate never expected one quiet reflection to become the beginning of something so meaningful, yet that is exactly what happened. In the middle of an ordinary moment, they found themselves wondering not about what was missing, but about what was already growing. That simple shift changed everything. Instead of searching for signs outside themselves, they began noticing the quiet hope that had been patiently waiting within them all along. The most beautiful transformations rarely begin with grand events. They begin when someone realizes they no longer need to carry yesterday's doubts into tomorrow's possibilities. Your soulmate has started leaving behind questions that once felt impossible to answer. Little by little, uncertainty has been making room for confidence. Not loud confidence that seeks attention, but the calm kind that whispers, "Something good is coming, and I don't have to rush it." Don't skip, because this gentle change has more to do with you than you realize. There is a quality within your heart that has become impossible to ignore. It is not perfection. It is not the absence of mistakes. It is your willingness to keep choosing kindness, sincerity, and hope even when life asks you to be patient. Those quiet choices have created something rare. They have become the kind of presence that brings peace before a single word is spoken. Your soulmate is beginning to sense that peace, even if they cannot yet explain where it comes from. Sometimes the heart recognizes safety before the eyes recognize a face. That is why they have felt an unusual calm surrounding their thoughts lately. Situations that once seemed confusing no longer weigh on them in the same way. They have started believing that meaningful connections are built through steady hearts rather than perfect circumstances. That realization has filled them with a happiness that feels lasting instead of temporary. Something important is waiting for you, because their joy is not only about what lies ahead. It is also about what they have finally released. They are no longer comparing every possibility to the past. They are no longer measuring tomorrow by yesterday's disappointments. Instead, they are making room for something fresh, something genuine, something that feels quietly destined to unfold at its own perfect pace. As this new outlook settles into their heart, another unexpected change has appeared. They have become more attentive to the little moments, a familiar melody, a peaceful sunrise, an encouraging conversation, even a brief silence that somehow feels full of meaning. They have begun seeing beauty where they once saw only routine. They do not realize it yet, but this openness is preparing them to recognize something truly special when the right moment arrives. Stay till the end, because there is one detail they have not shared with anyone. It is a thought they keep returning to whenever everything becomes still. They cannot explain why it feels so real, only that it brings them comfort every single time it returns. They believe someone, somewhere, is becoming exactly the person they have been hoping to meet. And as that quiet belief grows stronger, another realization is preparing to enter their heart, one so unexpected that it will connect every peaceful feeling they have experienced recently into a single unforgettable understanding. That moment is closer now than ever before. There is a beautiful difference between waiting and preparing, and without even realizing it, your soulmate has quietly stepped into that difference. They are no longer counting the days or searching for perfect signs. Instead, they have begun living with an open heart, trusting that the right moments have a way of finding those who are ready to receive them. That quiet trust has become the reason their happiness feels deeper today than it did yesterday. One evening, while everything around them seemed completely ordinary, an unexpected feeling settled over them. It wasn't excitement that rushed in all at once. It was something gentler. A peaceful certainty. For a brief moment, they felt as though life was softly reminding them that not every meaningful chapter announces its arrival. Some simply begin, and only later do you realize they have already changed you. Don't skip, because this is where the hidden connection becomes even more meaningful. Without ever hearing your voice, they have started appreciating qualities that reflect the person you have been becoming. They find themselves drawn toward patience instead of urgency. They admire sincerity more than appearances. They value quiet loyalty over loud promises. They cannot explain why these priorities have become so important, but each one quietly points them closer to the kind of connection they truly desire. Meanwhile, something equally important has been happening within you. Every experience that encouraged compassion instead of pride has shaped your heart in ways that cannot be measured. You may have believed those moments passed unnoticed, but they left lasting impressions. They refined your perspective. They strengthened your character. And somehow, those unseen changes are creating harmony with someone walking a different road, yet moving toward the same destination. Stay till the end, because one realization has only just begun to unfold. Your soulmate has recently noticed something surprising. The future no longer feels like a mystery to fear. It feels like a story they are finally ready to welcome. That single change has filled them with a quiet joy they carry wherever they go. It appears in unexpected smiles. It lingers in peaceful thoughts. It gives them hope on ordinary days. They may not know exactly why this shift has happened, but deep inside, they sense that someone meaningful is becoming part of the picture their heart has been quietly painting. There is also a gentle lesson hidden within this moment. Happiness often arrives long before the reason becomes visible. It begins as a whisper, grows into confidence, and eventually becomes something impossible to ignore. Your soulmate is living inside that whisper right now. Every peaceful thought, every renewed hope, every calm expectation is preparing them for a meeting that will feel less like coincidence and more like recognition. Something important is waiting for you. Because the next step is not about dramatic events. It is about a quiet discovery your soulmate is on the verge of making. A small moment is approaching that will cause them to pause, smile to themselves, and finally understand why their heart has been feeling so unusually full. When that realization arrives, they will see that today's happiness was never the destination, it was only the first gentle sign that something truly beautiful had already begun. Sometimes the heart notices a change long before the mind finds the words to explain it. That is exactly where your soulmate finds themselves now. They have begun carrying an unshakable sense of peace into places where they once carried questions. The difference is subtle, almost invisible to everyone else, yet to them it feels like the first breath of fresh air after a long season of wandering. They cannot point to a single reason for it, but they know something within them has quietly awakened. What makes this moment so remarkable is that it was never created by one extraordinary event. It was shaped by countless ordinary moments that slowly gathered meaning. Every lesson that taught you patience, every choice that reflected kindness instead of impatience, every time you remained true to your values even when no one was watching. Those moments became part of a story still being written. None of them were wasted. Each one added another gentle layer to the connection that has been growing in silence. Don't skip, because the next realization carries a quiet beauty that is easy to miss. Your soulmate has started paying attention to the kind of person they hope to share their future with. Interestingly, the qualities they now treasure most are the very qualities life has been patiently nurturing within you. They are no longer searching for perfection. They are looking for honesty. They are no longer impressed by appearances alone. They are drawn toward warmth, understanding, and someone who brings calm rather than confusion. Without realizing it, their heart has begun making room for the very kind of connection that reflects who you have become. There was a quiet moment recently when they paused in the middle of an ordinary day and smiled without any obvious reason. It lasted only a few seconds, but it stayed with them long afterward. They couldn't explain why everything suddenly felt lighter. They only knew that hope no longer felt distant. It felt close enough to welcome. That simple smile carried more meaning than they understood, because it marked the moment when expectation quietly transformed into confidence. Stay till the end, because there is another piece of this story that has not yet been revealed. The beautiful truth is that happiness grows strongest when it is rooted in gratitude. Your soulmate has begun appreciating small blessings that once slipped past unnoticed. A meaningful conversation. A peaceful afternoon. A kind gesture from a stranger. Even moments of silence have started feeling full instead of empty. As gratitude fills their heart, it creates more space for hope, and that hope continues leading them towards something they have not yet fully recognized. At the same time, your own journey has been preparing you in ways that may only become clear later. Every challenge that strengthened your character has quietly become part of the reason this connection feels so natural. You were never simply moving through experiences. You were becoming someone capable of offering comfort, encouragement, and genuine joy. Those unseen changes have more value than you know. Something important is waiting for you. Because your soulmate is about to notice one final detail they have overlooked until now. It will seem small at first, almost too simple to matter, but the moment they understand its meaning, every unexpected smile, every peaceful feeling, and every quiet moment of happiness they have experienced recently will suddenly connect together like pieces of a picture that has been patiently waiting to be completed. The most meaningful discoveries rarely arrive with loud announcements. They appear quietly, almost as if they have been waiting for the exact moment when the heart is finally ready to recognize them. Your soulmate is standing at the edge of one of those moments now. They do not feel rushed. They do not feel uncertain. Instead, they are carrying a calm expectation that something beautiful is unfolding, even if they cannot yet see the entire picture. A quiet thought has been returning to them again and again. It comes without invitation, always during the stillest moments of the day. It simply whispers that the right connection is never built by chance alone. It grows through unseen preparation, through lessons that shape two hearts separately until they are ready to appreciate each other in ways they never could before. That thought has stayed with them because every time it returns, it brings an unmistakable sense of comfort. Don't skip. Because this next realization brings everything a little closer. Your soulmate has started noticing how differently they respond to life now. Situations that once demanded immediate answers no longer disturb their peace. They have learned to pause before reacting, to listen before speaking, and to trust before worrying. Those changes may seem ordinary, but they have quietly transformed the atmosphere of their heart. And in that peaceful atmosphere, hope has found room to grow stronger than ever. At the same time, your own journey has been sending silent echoes into this unfolding story. Every time you chose understanding over judgment, every time you remained gentle when life gave you reasons to become discouraged, you added another piece to a foundation neither of you could fully see. Those moments were never isolated. They were preparing both of you for a connection that values depth over appearances and sincerity over perfection. Stay till the end, because there is one gentle truth your soulmate is only beginning to understand. They have realized that happiness is not always found by searching harder. Sometimes it appears when you stop trying to force every answer and simply become the kind of person who is ready to receive meaningful relationships with gratitude. That realization has changed the way they look at tomorrow. Instead of wondering what they might lose, they have started looking forward to what they may quietly discover. There have even been moments when they found themselves smiling at the smallest reminders of hope, a peaceful breeze, a familiar melody, a kind word from someone they barely knew. To anyone else, these moments would seem ordinary. But to them, each one felt like a gentle reminder that life was becoming brighter in ways they had not expected. Without realizing it, they were beginning to celebrate a happiness that had been growing long before they noticed it. Something important is waiting for you, because the next chapter is not about a dramatic surprise. It is about a heartfelt realization your soulmate is almost ready to embrace. Very soon, they will understand that the happiness filling their heart did not begin on a single day. It began the moment your quiet growth started creating a future where two lives could move toward each other with trust instead of fear, peace instead of uncertainty, and genuine joy instead of doubt. And when that realization finally settles within them, one unexpected thought will rise above every other, a thought that will make the entire journey you've heard so far feel even more meaningful. There comes a moment when quiet happiness becomes impossible to ignore. It doesn't arrive because everything suddenly changes overnight. It arrives because the heart finally understands what it has been feeling all along. Your soulmate is gently approaching that moment now. They are beginning to see that the peace they carry is not temporary. It has roots. It has purpose. And somehow, every step of their journey has been leading them toward this quiet realization. Not long ago, they found themselves reflecting on how much they had changed without even noticing. They remembered the version of themselves that once questioned every delay and worried about every unanswered possibility. Then they looked at who they are today. The difference surprised them. They no longer feel the need to rush what is meaningful. They have learned that the most valuable connections grow with patience, honesty, and quiet confidence. Don't skip. Because the next piece of this story may feel more personal than you expect. Your soulmate has begun appreciating something they never used to notice. They have realized that genuine love is not recognized by grand promises. It is recognized by consistency. By kindness that remains when no one is watching. By respect that never needs applause. By a heart that stays true to itself through every season. Without realizing it, they have been describing the very qualities your own journey has been strengthening day after day. Some evenings, they simply sit in silence for a few moments longer than usual. There is no particular reason. No special event. Yet those quiet moments have become their favorite part of the day because that is when hope feels closest. They cannot explain why, but during those peaceful pauses, they sense that someone is moving through life with the same quiet determination, the same gentle heart, and the same desire to build something meaningful instead of something temporary. Stay till the end, because a beautiful discovery is almost ready to reveal itself. As these thoughts continue returning, your soulmate has started smiling at possibilities they once dismissed. They have become more open to unexpected conversations, more grateful for simple blessings, and more confident that the right people appear when hearts are prepared rather than hurried. Every small change has added another layer to the happiness they now carry so naturally. Meanwhile, your own quiet growth continues creating echoes you may never have noticed. The compassion you offered when it would have been easier to walk away. The patience you practiced when quick answers never came. The hope you protected even during ordinary days. Those moments have become part of something much larger than they appeared at the time. They have shaped a future built not on perfect timing, but on genuine character. Something important is waiting for you, because your soulmate is about to recognize one final pattern. They will realize that every peaceful feeling, every unexpected smile, every renewed sense of hope has been pointing toward the same truth all along. It was never one moment that made them happier than ever. It was the steady realization that somewhere, someone had been quietly becoming the kind of person their heart had always hoped to find. And when that realization fully settles within them, the next step they choose will quietly begin a chapter neither of you could have imagined at the start of this journey. There is a quiet turning point in every meaningful story, and it rarely announces itself. It simply arrives, almost unnoticed, until one day you look back and realize that everything began changing from that single peaceful moment. Your soulmate has just stepped into that kind of season. Nothing around them appears dramatically different, yet everything within them feels lighter, steadier, and filled with a quiet sense of expectation they have never experienced before. They recently caught themselves smiling while thinking about the future, and what surprised them most was not the smile itself, it was how natural it felt. There was no effort behind it. No need to convince themselves that brighter days were ahead. Hope simply appeared, calm and confident, as though it had been waiting patiently for the right moment to become part of their everyday life. That quiet happiness has become one of the greatest gifts they now carry. Don't skip. Because something beautifully unexpected is unfolding beneath the surface. Without realizing it, your soulmate has started making room in their heart for someone whose presence brings peace instead of pressure. They no longer dream about a perfect story. They dream about a genuine one. They imagine conversations that feel effortless, laughter that arrives naturally, and a connection where both people inspire one another to become even kinder, wiser, and more grateful. These dreams are no longer distant wishes. They have begun feeling wonderfully possible. At the same time, every quiet step you have taken has been adding meaning to this unseen journey. The times you chose patience over frustration. The moments you listened instead of rushing to speak. The days you continued believing that kindness always matters, even when no one seemed to notice. Those choices have shaped a heart capable of offering something far more valuable than excitement alone. They have shaped a heart that offers peace. Stay till the end. Because this next realization gently brings the entire story together. Your soulmate has begun understanding that the happiest chapters are not built on extraordinary moments alone. They are built on ordinary days shared with extraordinary sincerity. That realization has changed what they value most. They now believe the greatest joy comes from feeling understood, appreciated, and accepted exactly as they are. And without ever meeting every part of your story, their heart has quietly begun hoping for someone who carries those same values. There is another beautiful change they have not spoken about. They have become more thankful than ever before. They notice simple blessings with fresh eyes. They appreciate peaceful mornings, meaningful conversations, familiar places, and unexpected moments of encouragement. Gratitude has quietly become the language of their heart, and with every grateful thought, their happiness continues to grow stronger. Something important is waiting for you, because there is one final realization your soulmate is almost ready to embrace. Very soon, they will understand that the joy filling their heart did not begin when circumstances changed. It began when two separate journeys, each shaped by patience, kindness, and quiet growth, started moving toward the same destination. And when that truth fully settles within them, they will carry a new kind of confidence, one that gently prepares them for the moment when a familiar feeling finally becomes a familiar face. There is a quiet kind of certainty that cannot be borrowed from anyone else. It grows slowly, one peaceful day at a time, until it becomes part of the way a person sees the world. Your soulmate has reached that place. They no longer wake up wondering whether happiness is possible. Instead, they wake up expecting to find small reminders of it in places they once overlooked. That simple change has filled their heart with a joy that feels genuine, steady, and beautifully lasting. One morning, they paused for no particular reason. The world around them continued as usual, yet something inside encouraged them to slow down. They looked around with fresh eyes, noticing how many quiet blessings had been present all along. It wasn't a dramatic revelation. It was a gentle awakening. In that moment, they realized they had spent too much time waiting for extraordinary signs while overlooking the extraordinary beauty hidden inside ordinary days. Don't skip, because this realization has everything to do with the person you have quietly become. Every season of growth has shaped you in ways you may never have fully appreciated. The patience you practiced when answers came slowly. The grace you extended when understanding was easier than judgment. The quiet hope you protected when life invited you to become discouraged. None of those moments disappeared into the past. They became part of your presence, and your presence carries a kind of peace that cannot be imitated. Your soulmate has begun longing for exactly that kind of peace. Not because they are searching desperately, but because they have learned what truly lasts. They no longer measure a connection by excitement alone. They value trust that grows naturally, conversations that leave the heart lighter, and kindness that remains consistent through every season. Without knowing your entire journey, they have quietly begun hoping for someone whose heart reflects those very qualities. Stay till the end, because the next thought they experience changes everything in the gentlest way. Recently, they imagined what it would feel like to meet someone who simply understood them without the need for endless explanations. Someone who could laugh with them during joyful moments and quietly encourage them through uncertain ones. As they imagined that connection, they noticed something surprising. For the first time in a long while, that vision no longer felt distant. It felt possible. It felt close enough to welcome. That unexpected confidence became the reason behind so many of the quiet smiles they have carried lately. It is why simple moments now feel brighter. It is why ordinary conversations leave them feeling hopeful instead of uncertain. They may not yet know where this journey leads, but they have stopped doubting that it is leading somewhere meaningful. Something important is waiting for you, because your soulmate is only one realization away from understanding why their happiness has grown so naturally. Soon they will see that every peaceful thought, every grateful moment, every unexpected smile has been quietly pointing toward the same truth. They have not simply become happier. They have become ready. Ready to recognize a connection built on sincerity instead of appearances, on patience instead of hurry, and on the quiet strength of two hearts that have been growing separately, only to discover that they have been moving toward one another all along. And the moment that understanding fully settles into their heart will gently open the door to the final chapter of this remarkable journey.